Ladies and gentlemen, family, welcome to another episode of Tea Time with Tea. Thank you so much for joining me. And before I start this episode, I really would like to kick it off with a sincere, heartfelt apology. I would like to apologize to all of my followers, everyone that hasn't started following me yet, people that are still going to watch this in the future. I am so sorry for taking time on releasing content, but I'm back. I'm back by popular demand. I never thought I would say that, but really, people were asking for me. But with this particular episode, I just want to let you all know what led me to release this episode. So, first and foremost, excuses aside, what had hindered me from making content was that my phone had been messed up, so I had to get a new phone. That was a whole long process. And then when I got a phone, I forgot that it's a whole new change. I'm changing from one charging port to another, like from a lighting port to, or a lighting cable to a type C cable. So that was a whole change in my microphones and all of that. Then specifically today, it was my uncle's birthday, and I had called him and he didn't pick up his phone. So when he calls me back, he's celebrating his birthday. He's with all his friends, all the guys, all the brothers, and they just having a good time. They made a boyki. It's just they festive. And as I call him, he takes the phone and he starts passing it to everyone, right? And now I'm talking to all the gents, and obviously because he said all the gents miss me, so everyone want to see how I'm doing. Everyone wants to see what time it is in the United States and all of these things. And we're just talking, talking, talking. So finally, the phone gets to one of the guys. His name is Otto, and Otto starts talking and is like, I just wanted to give you a shout out because you are really an inspiration. Keep up what you're doing. You are blessing us with the word of God. You're blessing us with the ways of God. And I had not known that what I do reaches Otto. Like I never know how far my content goes, like which audience it touches, because it's a few people that really come back and be like, yo, this was a great episode. This blesses me, or whatsoever. Shout out to Romeo. Romeo always does that. Shout out to you, mi hermano. Um, Te quiero mucho. That's for Romeo. Shout out to Romeo. He always lets me know that podcast was good. I loved it. Gives me insight, gives me feedback. But back to Otto. So Otto was telling me that the podcast is an inspiration, and there's something that I've learned. There's a guy that said that when you have a fruit, you can count the amount of fruit, the amount of seeds in the fruit. But when you plant a seed, you do not know how much fruit that seed will bear. So this is what I'm talking about. In this podcast, I do not know how much people is reaching that actually know me. How many people I'm inspiring. So I'm very much humbled. I'm so grateful to everyone that keeps supporting, everyone that keeps on watching. Um, yeah, shout out to those people. So let's get into today's topic. Today, we are sipping on something deep. We are sipping on some real tea, and that tea needs us to have water because we need to be hydrated for this one. We are talking about decisions. Now, bear with me. Let me tell you what type of decisions I'm talking about. Okay. Firstly, let's start with the Bible verse, which is Proverbs 13, verse 22. It says, a good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children. But what kind of inheritance are we really living? Is it money? Is it a mindset? Is it healing? Is it faith and wisdom? Let's just talk about it and dive into the conversation. So, what I'm going to do is something a little bit different than I usually do. I'm going to take this one topic of decisions, breaking cycles, and building legacies, and make it into four different segments so that we can really dissect and dive into the topic, but not pile everything up and make it to be too many. So, bear with me. Our first topic that's going to be on this week is the power of decisions. And then in the upcoming weeks, we'll do the different topics. And please do engage, comment, ask questions, you know, share it. Let's all be a part of this conversation. Okay, that's what the podcast is for everyone to give their input. This is just a mindset of one person. There are a lot of different personalities, a lot of different people. We want to hear your views. We want to know what it is that you think. What can you say? What can you add to this topic? So, the power of decisions. So, when we think of decisions, it's like something simple between A and B. Decisions, either this or that. Decisions, that's what it is. Um, but let me place emphasis on how decisions shape our lives, whether it's small decisions or big decisions. They shapes our lives. And the thing is, they don't just shape our lives, they shape the lives of generations to come, our offspring. And that's the main topic. What we do influences and affects those that are to come after us, you know? So, if I could give an example, I could give multiple. I'm going to start and pick forgiveness, for instance. If I struggle with forgiveness, the decision that I take to not forgive does not only affect the person that I don't forgive, but it affects me as well. If I walk around carrying a grudge, if I walk around upset at someone else, besides the whole biblical view of it that we need to forgive in order for God to forgive us. When the Bible says in the Lord's Prayer, forgive us our trespasses, so we forgive those who trespass against us. Besides that point, already the Bible teaches us forgive others so that God can forgive you. When I don't forgive, I take on the responsibility of carrying unforgiveness, which means I need to walk around and constantly remember that I have not forgiven someone. And I need to keep on reminding myself that I'm angry with a person because they did A, B, and C. So, unforgiveness is a burden because it weighs you down. There is something that happens in your mind, like cognitively, you need to keep on remembering that, I am angry with so and so. It's heavy to carry unforgiveness, it's very heavy, you know. So, if I choose to not forgive, it's not only the person that seeks forgiveness from me that is affected, but I myself am affected because I cannot let go of something, and that blocks things for me, but also it weighs on my heart. There is a study that shows that people that live to an older age are people that are constantly happy, that do not take things to heart. Unforgiveness is something that sticks in our heart because you carry a burden so heavy. You need to remember that I am upset with this person, which is not good for us. It's not healthy, you know. Um, Another example that I can give about decisions that affect not just me but generations to come and other people is simple thing like saving money. Let's say I decide to save money. That means whatever I'm saving the money for, I am planning to use it for either emergencies, which means when I find myself in a predicament, I can always pay my way out of it if it's something that needs money. It's not always that money is going to work. It's not always that I'm going to need money to take myself out of situations, but just let's take a scenario where I'm going to need money and I'm stuck with a tire. I'm driving, I'm stuck with a tire. I got to replace my tire. I don't have a spare wheel. I'm going to need my emergency money to fix my tire. Bear with me. I know you're just like, what is she talking about? I'm coming with it. So, saving money is a generational decision. If I teach myself how to save money, how to spend in a certain way, I will pass those things on to generations to come. I will teach that knowledge that this is how you should live, build a credit, save money, build your life, be rooted in things that help you to establish yourself. You understand? Um, Another example I can give is the example of education. We know in our families, generations before us, because of apartheid and like segregation and stuff like that, they didn't really have those opportunities that they provided for us. So when you make the decision to be the first person to graduate in your family, the first person to go to university in your family, those are big decisions that are going to affect the generations to come, because you are starting something different. You're breaking a cycle of too broke to go to school, too lazy to go to school, or too much pressure to go to school, where you feel like I need to let go of being a kid and take on the responsibility of an adult. You know, breaking those cycles. You're breaking cycles, okay? But me pursuing education can have a whole shift for my family's direction. Like, I'm gonna be um, Dr. Shabalala one day, and I'm gonna have kids, and that might be a motivation or inspiration for my kids to say, I want to pursue education. The network that I'm building around myself, the people that I'm connected with, that I'm acquainted with, my children and my nieces and my nephews might love that and be like, whoa, this is something great that we want to achieve as well. Let's take a real example, all right? Me being in the United States, I had a lot of my aunts and my uncles that are mothers to my cousins, because in America is not the same. Like family tree in America is not the same. But my uncles that are mothers and fathers to my cousins have told me that you have been a true inspiration. You know, you have shown our kids that it is possible when you apply yourself and you really work hard and you are respectful, and you do things in a way that is godly, that is righteous. You can achieve the things that you need to with the help of God. And even my little cousins, they would text me like, oh, I want to be like you one day. I want to be in the United States. I want to go to the UK. I want to go to New Zealand. It is something big in our family. I'm not the first one to do it, but then to get the responses that I'm getting from them, I'm like, okay, I have really broken a cycle. Like, okay, we can travel to different countries in Africa, but then now I'm like international, and they letting me know like you did something great. You took your life and you went out on your own. And shout out to my aunt Tawita. She did it. She moved. She went far away. Shout out to my aunt Fiza. She did it. She moved away. You know, and those were my inspirations. Like, oh, this is something that I've always wanted to do. And for, fortunately for me, this is not my only pit stop. Like, I got a lot, I'm like that. I want to travel, you know, but just this one move made such a big change in the lives of my little cousins and the lives of my aunts and uncles, for their children to aspire and dream the same for their children. And I'm glad to be that. So that was a generational cycle that was broken, that we are not limited by the borders that are around us, but we can cross those borders and go to greater heights. So that has been great. And I'm glad to have such a big role and influence in their lives. They're kids, but when they talk to you, I'm just like, I did not know that I'm doing that, and I'm doing it for all of us. I just had my vision in mind. I was following God's plan. I was following God's purpose for my life, and I was just going with God. But then to know that with following God's purpose, I was able to spark and light up a different kind of vision for them, for their lives as well, has been truly a blessing. It's been amazing. Back to the topic. So, also, let me say that oftentimes we are meant to take decisions and we do not take those decisions. But not making a choice is also a choice. Not making a choice is also a choice. What do I mean? If, oh, let me make a practical example. When it is time to vote, they have told me that by you not voting, the vote that was supposed to go to the party that you would have given goes to the party that is high in numbers. So it's a ghost vote, but it goes towards the party that is already winning, like in politics. So I'm just like, not making a decision is also making decision, is making a choice. If you don't choose yes, you are automatically choosing no. You know what I mean? If I don't choose to save, then automatically I'm choosing to spend. So not making a choice is making a choice. So that's what we need to know. If we're trying to break cycles, just because something happened in the past and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to choose to take this route that was taken before, but I'm also not choosing another route. I'm still choosing a route, which is building something new and creating something else, if I'm making sense. Um, a question that I really wanted to ask. There were two questions that I wanted to ask, and I want you to think of them and reflect on them. This is different. I want us all to change and develop, to grow with this podcast and not just listen, but then also have a different thought process. So, my two questions are: what's one decision that you have made that has changed your life in a big or a small way? Really think about it. What's the one decision that you made and you say, this decision I'm making and it's going to change my life? For me, I would say that decision that I made that really changed my life was to not have a child at a young age. That's one decision that I've been content with. Like, it was a intentional decision. Like, I was very, 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 very intentional about it. Like, I said, I do not want a kid at a young age. There's so many things that I want to do. And travel was number one that led me to saying that I don't want a kid because I'm always going to have this baggage that cannot really do anything or go anywhere because I'm going to have this child clinging to me. So that's one decision that I really made sure that no, we're not having that. Second question is: have you ever felt like you were paying for someone else's choices, maybe in your family or community? Have I ever felt like I'm paying for someone else's choices? To be honest, yeah. To be honest, yeah. And I cannot really go into depth with this one. I know I had binded myself to being really, really vulnerable, raw, and open, but this really includes someone else's choice that influences my life. But it is something that I probably think about each and every week. And as I'm sitting here, I know as I was doing my morning pages in this week, I thought of getting to the bottom of this thing, this choice. Because if a decision has been made on my behalf and I have no input on it, I really want to find my own ways to discover how and why and when and who. You know, I want to get to the bottom of it. So, have you ever felt like you were paying for someone else's choices, maybe in your family or community? My answer is yes. Cannot get into detail with it, but it really does affect my life. It makes me question myself and who I truly am in my day to day. So, trying to figure it out. Maybe one day I'll bring it to the podcast. I'll definitely bring it to the podcast. I just need to get to the bottom of it first so that I can give full detail. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that is it for the power of decisions. Your decisions have power, whether you take the decision or you don't, whether you take that yes or that no. There's power in your decisions. There's power in the choices that you make. Everything is a decision. Let me just tell you, everything is a choice. Even the decision to the decision of infidelity in a relationship is a choice. No one can cheat by mistake because you cannot send a text by mistake. You cannot feel feelings by mistake. You cannot invest your time by mistake. Everything is a choice. The power of decisions is power in decisions. And that does not just affect us in this generation, but generations to come. So pay attention to that. Make sure that when you take decisions, you think about your offspring. You know that you love God and the people that God has given you by the choices that you make that will influence others. Every choice that you make is not just for you, unfortunately. Every choice you make is for others. It's like your purpose. Your purpose is not just linked to you, your purpose is for others. The purpose that I'm serving right now, releasing this content, it's not for me. It's not for my satisfaction or my gratification, but it is for others to find and draw inspiration from this, to know that there is a God, to know that everything that we do is not just for us, but for others. It does not stop here. It goes and it flows into the lives of those that are tuning in and listening. You know, anything that I can pick up from this conversation that I might use in the next conversation, that is a seed that has been planted, and that seed that has been planted is planting other seeds, and I don't know how many seeds are being planted. You catch my drift? So, very much grateful for this tiny bit of episode. We will come back with more episode, more live guests, and just keep on growing together as a community. We are heading into the festive season. I am so excited to see what God brings us to. But this podcast is centered around God. So let's remember the Bible verse: a good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children, not your kids, but the generation after that. But then this does not only speak on money, but then it speaks on wisdom, it speaks on values, on morals, standards. That's what it speaks on. So, whoever I make myself to be today, that will fall into my children. I'm like this because I was raised by very strict parents and a strict grandmother, and they spoke and they beat. They gave whoopings. I got beat to the T till I was like 17. So I'm not just like this, but there has been things and repercussions that were placed in my life or done in my life in order for me to be the way that I am. So every decision that you take is not just for you, for the generations to come.